Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you might be joining us from. I am currently joining from the United States. I would love to see where everyone else is joining from. I see we have someone from Ghana, Panama, India, Uganda, Egypt, Pakistan, Nigeria, India. Oh, wow. This is great. South Africa. Fantastic. Well, it's great to have so many of you on our call today and so many of our participating teams. The goal of this session is to walk through the hackathon structure and expectations, give some context around how AI fits in the E4C's work, introduce you to the AI tools you'll be using, and answer any initial questions you might have. This session is being recorded and will be shared afterwards. And just to set expectations up front, today is an orientation, not a deep technical training. The goal is to get everyone aligned and comfortable before we formally kick things off. For those of you who may not be familiar with Engineering for Change, or E4C for short, we are a bridge between engineering and sustainable development. We're a nonprofit dedicated to preparing, educating, and activating the international technical workforce to improve the quality of life of people on the planet. We cultivate change agents by providing resources, platforms, and access to expertise to accelerate the development of solutions and infuse sustainable development practices into engineering. We were founded jointly by the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, or ASME, and other leading engineering societies in 2009, and since our inception have established a robust portfolio of programs advancing sustainable development. We're also widely known for our digital platform and community of practice, which may be how you found out about the hackathon. E4C engages a growing global community of around 1 million people worldwide. Membership is free, and the platform is designed to help people connect, learn, explore, and contribute. Members use E4C to connect with a global interdisciplinary network, stay informed on best practices and emerging insights, explore open access solutions library, and access research and field experience that supports their work. The platform is also where we deliver many of our programs, including our fellowship program and now the AI pilot work that we're doing. I'm going to share a link in the chat, or I think Kara's got it. So, when we're talking about sustainable development, this refers to meeting the needs of today without sacrificing the ability of future generations to meet theirs, often represented through the three pillars of sustainability: economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental sustainability. It underscores the interconnected nature of development and environmental stewardship. So economic progress and social well-being must be achieved in ways that protect our planet's natural resources and ecosystems for the long term. Key elements include preserving resources, so natural resources like air, water, soil, biodiversity, meeting essential needs, so ensuring people have access to basic necessities without exclusion, and balancing growth and environment. Despite progress, significant global challenges remain that symbolize why sustainable development is so crucial. Today, 666 million people worldwide still lack access to electricity. That's about 8% of humanity. 2.2 billion people are without safely managed drinking water at home, about a third of the global population. 1.8 billion people face significant flood risk worldwide, a number that's only going to grow with the effects of climate change. And 4.8 million children died before their fifth birthday in 2003, mostly from preventable causes. These statistics reflect persistent gaps in basic human needs and services, which sustainable development aims to address. These challenges are also interlinked. Poverty underlies many of these issues, and environmental degradation, like climate change, water scarcity, can exacerbate food, water, and energy shortages. Sustainable development efforts aim to address these problems together, reducing poverty and inequality while improving health, education, economic opportunities, all within the planet's environmental limits. But the exciting thing is that engineers and technologists are at the forefront of developing innovative solutions to achieve sustainable development goals. By applying scientific knowledge and creativity, engineering projects can dramatically improve living conditions and drive progress on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Solutions like off-grid renewable energy systems bring power to communities beyond the reach of the national electric grid. Safe water technologies to provide safe drinking water in areas without centralized water management. Nature-based solutions to flooding and healthcare innovations to reduce child mortality, such as cheap point-of-care diagnostic kits for diseases like malaria or COVID. All of this brings us to why we're here today and why E4C is exploring AI in the first place. Sustainable development decisions tend to be incredibly information dense, highly context specific, and often high stakes. Practitioners are working across technical, social, economic, environmental, political, and legal dimensions under real world constraints. So, for example, if you're looking for ways to make housing more sustainable and affordable in the Philippines, you'd have to define what sustainability and affordability means in that specific context and to the target buyers or users. You'd have to look at the housing value chain to understand the stakeholders involved, the stages, the processes, the challenges, and opportunities. You'd want to understand what related policies are in effect at the national, regional, and local level that may influence housing. You'd want to understand what types of housing are most appropriate and acceptable and for whom and where. I could go on, but I think you get the point. AI has the potential to help by improving access to trusted knowledge, synthesizing complex information, and accelerating comparison and analysis. But, and this is critical, AI is only useful in this space if it's transparent in how it reaches its conclusions, designed to keep humans firmly in the loop, and grounded in vetted information. This AI pilot explicitly leverages knowledge from Engineering for Change in the form of research reports, news articles, expert-led webinars, and vetted solutions library data, much of which comes from our brilliant cohorts of globally based fellows. This AI pilot is an opportunity to further boost the usefulness of E4C content and interaction with it and with the E4C community. At E4C, our approach to responsible, evidence-grounded AI is not just about technical safeguards, it's deeply rooted in the principles that guide all of our work. Those principles shape why we're exploring AI and how we're doing it and what we expect from teams in this hackathon. One of E4C's core principles is that we're lifelong learners and educators. That mindset shows up in this AI pilot in a very real way. We're not assuming the technology is finished or that we have all the right answers. Instead, we're testing, learning, and iterating alongside you. This hackathon is as much about learning what doesn't work as what does and being transparent about both. E4C is also grounded in inclusive collaboration, working across geographies, sectors, and disciplines to break down silos. I can easily reinforce silos or privilege certain perspective if it's not designed carefully. That's why we emphasize clarity, transparency, and accessibility in the tools and in the projects you'll build. We're looking for solutions that invite collaboration rather than obscure decision-making behind complexity. Another core principle is being responsible creators. At E4C, we explicitly reject the idea that engineering or AI is apolitical or neutral. These tools shape real-world outcomes in people's lives and must be purposely directed toward the benefit of all. That's why the hackathon places such a strong emphasis on traceability, limits, and responsible use, not just performance or scale. We're also human-centered practitioners. In practice, that means our goal is not just to automate judgment or replace human decision makers, but to support better, more informed judgment. AI in this context should help people see options more clearly, understand trade-offs, and interrogate evidence, not hand them unexplained answers. So when we talk about evidence-grounded, transparent, human-centered AI, we're really talking about applying E4C's principles in a new medium. Rather than optimizing for novelty or scale alone, we're asking, does this actually help someone make a better decision? And can they understand and trust how the system arrived there? The question should help guide how your teams are approaching your work throughout the hackathon. This hackathon builds on the earlier stages of exploration and feedback. Over the past few weeks, E4C has been testing and refining AI capabilities with community input. The hackathon represents the next step, moving from exploration into applied building and experimentation. Your role as teams is not just to create something impressive, but to help us learn what's possible, what works well, and where the real limitations are when applying this in sustainable development contexts. In that sense, you're all partners in shaping what comes next, which is exciting. At a high level, the hackathon is focused on building AI-powered tools, workflows, or applications that leverage E4C's knowledge and data sets. Successful projects will have a clear use case, demonstrate responsible and transparent use of AI, and focus on practical value for real users, whether practitioners, researchers, or decision makers. Teams will choose from one of three tracks. Track one focuses on generating decision-grade knowledge products. So think briefs, case studies, comparative analyses that are grounded in E4C's content and responsibly enhanced with open data sets. A good example might be a regional policy brief on clean cooking solutions connected with adoption rates and health burden data. Track two is centered on helping innovators understand how their technology documentation aligns with E4C's solutions library standards. The idea is to automate structured feedback, flagging missing information, highlighting differences from peer technologies, and identifying parts of the framework that may need more attention. And track three is about building tools that help designers explore ideas, evaluate trade-offs, and iterate more quickly using E4C knowledge without replacing human judgment. I'm sharing here a high-level schedule so that you know what to expect in the coming weeks. Today is focused on orientation and getting you familiar with the AI tool you'll be using. The session is meant to set the context and answer early questions. The hackathon will launch officially Sunday, April 12th, and all teams will receive access to the tools that we'll be demoing today. Just a few minutes. We'll be having a drop-in Q&A session on Monday. So I'll be sending details about that and where you can join if any questions come up. Submissions are due Saturday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. All submissions will go through a first round of deliberations with the top 15 to 20 teams advancing to the second round of deliberations, including a live demo of their solutions to our judges on the 24th. The winning teams will be announced by April 30th. All detailed information, including time zones, or timelines, deliverables, submission instructions, and participation expectations is centralized in the official rules and the onboarding document that you would have received by email. If you're ever unsure where to look, those documents should be your first stop. We also encourage you to use the dedicated help channels in Slack, where we'll be centralizing all hackathon communications. We're intentionally keeping this overview high level today. You'll get everything you need to succeed, but you won't need to absorb it all at once. So for hackathon submissions, teams will be evaluated across several dimensions, including alignment with E4C's mission and knowledge base, responsible and evidence-grounded use of AI, technical execution and usability, and clarity of communication. It's important to note that your explanation and documentation do matter. Judges will be looking at not only what your system does, but how and why it does it. More details on evaluation phases and criteria are in the official rules. And just to level set, this is not a speed coding competition, a pitch-only exercise, or a place to overclaim what AI can do. This is an applied, thoughtful build challenge, one where well-scoped, clearly explained solutions will, we anticipate, outperform overly complex ones. We want you to experiment, but to do so carefully, responsibly, and with real users in mind. The AI tool you'll be using was designed to work with E4C's knowledge base and support exploration, synthesis, and insight generation. Today, you'll see what the tool can do, the kinds of workflows it supports, and how you might use it as part of your hackathon project. We'll leave the technical walkthrough and feature details to our AI development partners and the team behind the platform you'll be using during the hackathon. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to the team at Bear Creek AI. We'll stop sharing.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. Hello, everybody. I'm Brad Schmidt with Bear Creek AI, and my colleague Clayton Dalton is also on. So we will be walking through a demo of the platform. Let me share my screen. Okay. Good. See it? All right. So our platform is called Knowledge Expert, and this is the chat interface. We're going to walk through really three primary features. Our marketplace, the chat functionality, and then applications that you can build in the platform. So when you log in, there will be a tutorial that'll walk you through a lot of what I'm going to cover today as well when you log in for the first time. But the first thing we always suggest you do, and for everybody on this hackathon, would be go to our marketplace in the top left here. There you will find a variety of knowledge bases. You can scroll down and find the Engineering for Change knowledge bases. There are three of them. You're going to want to click free, which will subscribe you to the knowledge base. So now you can see I'm subscribed, and I've already subscribed to the other two. This will make the Engineering for Change knowledge bases available to you in a chat. In addition to the E4C knowledge bases, you can, and we encourage you to create your own knowledge bases from your personal content. And so to do that, you'd go to Manage Knowledge Bases, click New Knowledge Base, give it a title and description, and you can categorize it if you like to keep things organized. Hit Create, and now you'll see it here, and I can begin to upload files from my computer. I'll just show you a example of another knowledge base I have built. So these are all the different files I've included in this particular knowledge base on our strategy. We take any PDF, PowerPoint, Excel, CSV, and Word documents. The other thing, if you're working on a team for the hackathon and you want to share a knowledge base you have created with other members of the team, simply click the share button in the knowledge base, enter their email address, and then either give them viewer or admin privileges, which would allow them to edit the knowledge base if they're an admin. Okay. All right, so now you've subscribed to the Engineering for Change knowledge bases. You've built a couple of your own. I'll go back into the chat. So now in a chat, I'll click knowledge bases, and I can select whatever knowledge bases I want to use for this particular chat. You're allowed to select up to 3 knowledge bases in addition to the web. So if you're doing work and you only want to query on the Engineering for Change or your personal knowledge bases, leave the web off. But in many instances, you may want the system, the tool to go scrape a website or do research on the internet. And so for that, you can click the web search on, and now it will do that. If you've created a personal knowledge base, the other thing you can do is click on the expand button, and maybe you just want to select a particular file within that knowledge base as opposed to the entire knowledge base. That is an option. All right, so I've selected my knowledge bases. I click confirm, and now I can begin asking any questions of the knowledge base. We have preloaded prompts that are specific to the Engineering for Change knowledge base. So when you select an E4C knowledge base, this prompt button will pop up with a variety of options here. But you can simply ask whatever questions you want. The other feature to point out is the model. So if you click this button, you'll see the 4 AI models or LLMs that we support today. So you can select which would work best for your particular objective in this chat. All right. You can attach individual files as opposed to selecting a knowledge base if you'd like. Just for this chat, those files won't persist into future chats, which is why the knowledge base selection is really nice. To exit out of a knowledge base, simply click the X up here, and now you're back to a blank screen. I'll show you a demo question. So this was a question I asked about within, after having selected the engineering for change knowledge bases about solar power in a farming community off grid. So it'll give you a nice, very technical response. And the thing here I want to show you is the citation. So every response will come with these blue bubbles. If you hover over it, it will show you the actual source from where that answer came. And if you click on it, it'll pull up a separate window, and I'll share this window. So it pulled up the actual document and highlighted the areas of relevance for this answer. Okay. So those are the chat features. The last thing I'll point out is if you have any questions on the system itself, you can ask it. So for example, how do I build a knowledge base in Knowledge Expert? And it'll give you a step-by-step instruction on doing that or troubleshooting. So always you can reach out to us through the Slack channel, but you can also answer some of these questions yourself, just engaging with the platform. Okay, so that's the marketplace and the chat features. I am going to let Clayton walk through how to build applications.
Absolutely. Let me turn my mic on here. All right, guys, let me share my screen. And there you go. Should be seeing Knowledge Expert again here. Maybe.
Not yet.
Not yet. There we go.
Yep.
All right, guys. So yeah, let's take a look at applications. So we have two, and Brad's going to go over one of these. I'll go over one. We have two different applications because we're in the middle of phasing one out, actually. So in the left sidebar, you'll see two things with apps on it. One is called Legacy Apps, which will be depreciating, but we still want to show you today so you can experiment with more functionality, and we'll be keeping that live through the hackathon. And we also have the agentic apps. So let's take a look at agentic apps. And I've just been messing around with different accounts this morning. So let me log back in. Let's take a look at agentic apps. And let me show you what they can do and how you can use them to build other apps and do some of these predictable workflow processes. So one of the applications or agentic applications that I've put together is this E4C products for project selector. And we've done a similar thing in the legacy apps. That way, Brad can show you what it looks like here in this agentic apps and what it looks like in the legacy apps. So let's take a look at what the interface for this is. So this is a very cool looking kind of node type workflow type interface that allows you to, it's very intuitive actually. It just lets you set AI prompts and AI tasks up in a very predictable manner, which goes through from start to end. And it does some function or some task. That could be searching a knowledge base. It could be searching the internet. It could be doing a summary of your conversation, generating a document, creating an app, creating different things, okay? This can get a little complicated to, create as they expand and get larger. And so we have this assistant, which you can chat with, and that will actually be able to help you create these agentic apps. In this case, I've asked it to create an app, and it went through and created each of these nodes for me. And I just validated the changes, made sure that is what I wanted. We can ask it to make any changes here, and you'll see that as you get a better feel for what these do. If we kind of take a look at one of these, there's going to be configurable variables for each task. In this case, for the prompt task, the prompt is editable, as well as the knowledge base, which Brad already covered kind of what that is there. And I gotta move my bar there. Let's see, there we go. Other things like that. Okay, so what does this look like whenever you actually run it? if we go back, what's actually helpful is to show you the end product, and then I'll show you how you get to the end product. So this is an example of an end product. You can see these are the outputs of each of our tasks. Here, this was task 01, a prompt task. You can see what the question was here, just in case you forgot. Come down, and this is searching the solutions knowledge base, I believe. And so we can look and see, okay, great, here's a solution that it seems to be relevant to the question. And then it's going to go run those two other knowledge base searches that you saw on the other E4C knowledge bases. So it's doing that in tasks 1, 2, 3, etc. And then if you'll remember back to the screen I just had pulled up, we had a summary node. And so it's going to summarize that conversation. It'll give us, based on everything, all the research that was done from the previous tasks, here's what we learned. And then finally, the final task in that workflow was the generate document. And so it's generated this nice report for us where we can see all of the outputs of our research from our workflow. And you could put together just, really any type of workflow that or a agentic app that you would want to put together here. I'll show you a couple more examples. Let's scroll back up to the top here. You can put together these things to research companies. It's something that we've used internally at our company to do, where the user can supply what company they would like to research, and it goes and does several different tasks and provides that. You can also use it to, put together solutions for making selections of engineering materials. This is one doing that, where we are going through a process to kind of iteratively select the best welding gas for an application. And so there's these other types of agentic workflows. Brad mentioned that you can use this to create other applications like these legacy apps. And that's simply just this same exact this same exact interface, but you add a task here called the create app task. We can connect that up like this. Y'all get a live demo of how this works, right? So we go here, you put in your prompt of what you want to create, and you'll have some more context for that also when Brad goes over his demo. You put in the name of your application, and that will create that whenever you run the workflow. Last thing, I'll just show you how to run it. And let's save that back here. So if you go here, you'll see a play or run button. And if you just click that, that will start the workflow or the agentic app as it is. And for this case, since we have that chat input that's needed, it'll open up, it'll say waiting. So we can go back, we can go over here and we'll see we have a few of these agentic apps which are waiting. We click on that, we open the chat, and this will run us through this kind of reverse chat experience where normally you are asking the AI questions. Well, in this case, the AI will be asking you questions to kind of get these inputs from the user. And when you go through that, you can see it's saying, what is your project idea? And we can continue to go through this and it'll ask us several more things. When we're done providing the inputs, it'll say, okay, your inputs are all completed. You can continue the workflow. You just click resume, and that will pick back up with this process right here. Okay. So that's a high level overview. I know there's probably going to be questions, and we can, do that, I guess, as we get towards the end of the presentation, but I'll let Brad pick it up from here.
Yeah. Before you stop sharing, Clayton, can you just show them how to create an app from scratch? So clicking new agentic app at the top,
Yes,
as if
that's
we're
a great
starting.
point. There is a new agentic app button at the top right, and all of the new buttons will be in the same place. So if you go to knowledge bases, new knowledge base is there. If you go to legacy apps, new app is there. Agentic app, same thing. You just click that, and we type in a name. I'll just call it Hello World. Create that. That will show up now at the top of your agentic app list. You'll see you have no runs here, obviously, and if you click run, it won't do anything because you have no content. When you click edit, you'll see a start and end node, and this is where you can start talking to the assistant to say, hey, this is what I want to create, or here's what I can do to help you out. You can also load the default agentic apps, and you can add tasks manually if you'd like to do that.
Yeah, so I think for your first, leveraging the AI assistant will get
Yep.
you familiar with how the system builds these agentic applications. Then you can go in and physically, modify what you need, or continue to leverage the AI assistant to have it make changes to the application that it built.
Yeah, that's right. And you guys, if you've used AI at all in the past, you'll know this already, but just talk to the assistant. I know that could sound a bit strange, but really, if you have an issue and you say, man, this workflow, it keeps giving me an error. Just say, hey, it keeps giving me an error. What's happening? And it'll say, oh, great, yeah, I found this, error in your graph, and I'll fix that edge condition for you or whatever. And so it's very powerful to be able to just ask it to create new things, change the prompts, change the models, do these types of things. Every now and then they'll come into a thing that the AI doesn't have permissions to write. That's okay. It's just, a safety thing or whatever. So you can end it, but it should instruct you to go manually change that and how to do it. You can also, just as a side note, not to take up too much time, but the system also has the capability to report bugs. If you run into something, you can just say, hey, report a bug. And then it also has access to our full documentation. So if you are wondering, hey, how do I create a knowledge base? How do I create an application? How do these things work? You can simply ask the system that, and it has access to that full documentation as well.
Clayton, we do have a couple of questions in the Q&A.
Yeah, if I could, I just can't see it while I'm sharing. So let me go here and see.
I'll answer the second one about detailed demo video of agentic apps. Yes, that will be made available. We just recorded it this week. So we will get that to Aaron, a link, and make sure everybody has the tutorials. In addition, we have a couple of documents that will walk through, your step-by-step process, but the videos are nice because you can actually see the system
Mhm.
in action.
Yeah, it is, and we'll definitely get that up. I think everyone should be on the system probably Monday, or I think Aaron said it opens Sunday officially, so we'll definitely have it before then. As to the question on creating, using your own created apps and other apps, if I'm understanding the question correctly, it sounds like that's coming into maybe like nesting applications where, you create an application and then you can use that application you created inside another application. That's definitely on our roadmap, but it's not something you have the capability to do today. You can, one thing that's similar to that is if you do create a task that you've spent a lot of time creating the form to be, just exactly perfect for that task. You can just copy that to another workflow. You just Control C or right click and click copy task, and you can paste that into other of your agentic apps also just to save you time and not have to recreate those. But yeah, right now we're not supporting the nested structures. If that was the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, that is coming. So if you remain on the system post hackathon, that will be a function very shortly. The other just thing I want to make people aware, if you do log in today, you will not see the Agentic app button until tomorrow. So we are pushing this to all of the hackathon users tomorrow, but you can get in today and start using the chat functionality and building knowledge bases, but the applications will be released tomorrow. Okay. All right. I am going to take the screen back and show you an application that was built using the process that Clayton just walked through. So when you use the Agentic app to create an app, it will appear in your legacy apps here. And so the one that we built for the demo today is that products to project selector. If I click on this, I will see on the right-hand side here, the name, description, welcome, prompt. This was all generated by the system, by the AI, given the direction that the user input on what sort of application you wanted to develop. Now I can go in and edit this. and make any changes that I want if it didn't, capture everything. Um, you can select a default knowledge base for the application as well as a model. And you can add other users to these applications. So if you want to share an application you built with your team, you can do that here. And then there's a document section which outlines the inputs and outputs for this application, which all can be edited. But I'd suggest, just build an application and run it first to see if it's getting you what you need. And if not, then you can go back in and edit, and then I'll save this. It's not letting me save in the testing. Or you can share apps with other users right here as well. So now, like on the Agentic app screen, if I click View App or this play button, it will run. And I'll go to a new one just to show you how it would start. It's going to ask, in this case, what is my project? So like the other example Clayton showed, the applications are designed to ask users question to gather the necessary input, which you'll see here on the right, in order to run the calculations and output. And the calculations in this case are a product selector. So I do have an example here that we had done. And in this case, go back to the top. So it asks what my project is. I said a solar farm in a remote area of Belize. It captures all this. It asks, in this case, do you want to only look at what is in the E4C knowledge base, only the internet, or both? I said only E4C knowledge base. It'll always ask you for units. In this case, I selected metric. And then it'll go through further details to capture the full picture of your project. So budget, target power output. It summarizes, runs the calculations, and then in this case, it actually told me my budget will not support a power output of this size. And so I increased the budget a bit, and then it went through, and then I decreased the power output requirements. And then it said, okay, great, that's more realistic. And so at the end, it'll give you a nice summary. And again, with the sources cited of the products that it's recommending. And then lastly, if the app is set up to generate a document, it will do so automatically. Otherwise, you can simply ask it generate a summary or PDF of the proposal. So I can now click this and it will download, and let me share the results. Okay. So it put this together. It's the project proposal for off-grid solar in remote Belize. Little summary here, and then a really nice detailed output. One suggestion, if you are running applications to generate reports like this, you can play around and test different models. The Claude Opus 4.6 works really well for formatting reports like this, and typically gives you a little deeper insight. But it will certainly work with GPT or Gemini. Just may be slightly formatted differently and perhaps a little shorter. Okay. Find you all. All right, I think that wraps up the demo, and wanted to leave time for questions. Clayton, anything I didn't cover, or Aaron, that we should touch on?
Only thing I'll add is I know there'll be lots of questions, as you go. I think Aaron's done a great job of providing some documentation in the Slack channel to you guys. I know that I'm on there. A couple other people from my team are also there, and Brad is there. If you have any questions, feel free to put them there. You can message me directly if it's something you don't want to put on the big chat. So, but super excited to see what you guys do with the system. We'll be continuing to make small fixes and improvements and things, probably likely even over the week that you use it. But we think you have a good tool to be able to try to showcase what Engineering for Change really has to leverage. So anyone's excited to see what you build.